Alrighty. Give this a second to get rolling. See who's here. I know I'm doing it earlier this Friday, since it is Good Friday, rather than doing it at my usual time for Fridays. So, alright, so I got my chat up. Alright, so hopefully everyone is safe and doing okay. I know I've had a rough week, and I think that's part of the reason why I got delayed on doing the show till today. I originally had hoped to do a quick Easter project today, but that just wasn't coming together. I had another deadline that I had to meet earlier in the week, and as I said, like many of us, I have days where I really struggle. So, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. So we're just going to keep on continuing on with the fairy house. We're going to get started on the base box this afternoon. Excuse me. So hopefully we'll just give it a few more minutes, let a few more people get here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So, okay, my brain kind of wanders off every once in a while, like it just did there for a minute. So, excuse me. My allergies are kicked up, so I'm on my allergy meds, which at times make me a little. So, anyway, but you can't cough or sneeze out in public without catching the death look. So, anyway, all right, it looks like we're getting a few more people here now. One of the things that I am struggling with, once again, as I have, it's just what kind of things people want. I know some people really enjoy these longer shows. I've been doing these since 2010 now. First on Ustream and now here on YouTube Live. I just don't know that people really want these 2-hour long live shows. Either that or you don't want to come to mine. I don't know. But I think people right now, it's kind of beyond attention span. I know it's hard for me. So once we have this project finished up, which we should have done by this time next week, I'm debating as to what to do. Part of me, I'm thinking of potentially doing some Facebook Lives and keeping them, half an hour, 45 minutes type thing, more demo type stuff, rather than these 2-hour long shows. I just based on my numbers, it's like it seems to be the same small number of people. So I'm in a quandary as to what I should, to help the most people. And then that way with projects that I have coming up that I want to do, I would do those on YouTube. And then those people who choose to can watch them. So I'm in a bit of a bit of a quandary in regards to that. I also, whenever I ask people what kind of things they want, 90% of the comments are, whatever you want to do. Well, that's my problem right now. I am struggling with what I do want to do. Because what I want to do is something completely different from what I've been doing in the past, the direction I kind of personally want to play. But it's not necessarily something that fits in with this format or the format that I've been doing for the past 10 plus years. So I'm in a real quandary. So But I also don't want to go off in a completely... I have no idea what that is, Janine. So I have no clue. So I'm considering, rather than doing these 2-hour-long YouTube shows, is maybe doing the Facebook Live and do those short and quick. I would do those on my Laura Dennison Designs. My Laura Dennison is my personal one. If you notice, anybody who's ever followed me, I don't ever post anything to do with scrapbooking or anything. That's just my personal page. I don't post that much on it. And then Paper Doodles is a closed group, and I do that just to keep out people who are... all they're in there for is to advertise their own things or advertising their multi-level marketing business, or advertise. We had people come in and advertise like sunglasses. And it's just, I just assume keep that a closed group. But if you're not a member of it at this point, which is easy to do, Joy approves on those every single day. So. So the only other public page I have is my Laura Dennison Designs business page. And so I would probably do the Facebook Lives on there. The videos then stay up on, so you can view them there. I know that you can download them somehow, or at least I can download them somehow, and then I could put them up on YouTube as well. I just have to do a little bit of research on that. So, but whether people want 3D, whether they want albums, I mean, there's, when I first started doing this, people hadn't done everything under the sun already. So it was easier to come up with unique and interesting new ideas, just because none of them had been done. But now everybody and their brother and their brother's cousin and the brother's cousin's sister-in-law all do videos. So, and tutorials. Nobody was doing tutorials either when I started. So, and I came from quilting, and it was like everybody wrote tutorials, or I called them patterns. So I call them patterns still to this day. So I started doing patterns, and then everybody started doing patterns, which is not to say I did anything new and different. It's just I came out of a different crafting field, and that's how we did it. So I just automatically did the same thing when I moved over to paper. So, but now there's so much out there for people to view. So this is what I've been struggling with, is what direction to go, for something that I'm also interested in, as well as what other people might be interested in. So that's kind of where we are. So I've already done hybrid albums and junk journal elements. That's what we've been doing. The albums we've been doing most recently, I call them photo journals. They're kind of a cross between an album and a journal. So we've done at least the first one. I've got 3 others that I've got in process doing that. So, but Lois is something blue. I can always count on Lois. So, well, the multimedia, there's a small portion of you that love, and I know Christine's one of them, that love the mixed media or multimedia type projects. But I don't necessarily want to dive in and call them that, because that scares a lot of people off. To be perfectly honest, my 3D projects from the very beginning, and a lot of my other projects, have really had a lot of mixed media, multimedia to them. And I just didn't call it that in those days. But now if I call it that, people will freak out and go, oh my God, I don't do mixed media. If you think back in this fairy series, the autumn fairy, we did the summer one, which we're working on now. That was the first one in the series. The second one was the autumn fairy house, which was on the stump. and the stump was totally paper mache type thing. So, we've done most of my projects, if you look at them, have been mixed media, but I just didn't call them mixed media. So if I call it mixed media, people go, oh, I don't do that. So, and there's not a huge group of you that want to go in that direction. So that's, I just, this is where I struggle with, because, and then I get started on something and it's, no, I don't want to work on that. And because the other thing too is I have some really cool ideas of projects, but I can't do them right now with what we have going on in the world right now. Because every time I look at that project, I will think of the time in which I was creating it. And I don't want to have that association, because I can look around, you always see me looking around my studio because I look around and I see different projects. And to be honest, they are like memories for me to look at the project, and I kind of remember what was going on in my life at that point. And there's some projects that I just go, don't really want to work on that one. And so some of these projects that I want to work on, I'm holding off because I don't want the association in the future. So I'm kind of holding off on that. So I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure out a direction, and I think that's been my problem of late, is I don't feel a sense of a direction, because I've never been one who likes to go with the crowd, and everybody and their brother's doing albums these days, and it's like, and they all kind of look alike to me after a while, and it's not my thing. I like to be kind of doing something a little bit beyond and different, but not too far out there, because if I go too far out there, you guys are like, yeah, no. There's 3 other designers down the road that do what I want to do, so they'll, So I'm struggling right now, so if you can tell. So I'll figure it out. So, but anyway, let's go ahead. I don't really mean to go in that much direction, and then I get emotional. So I'm just. So we are going to just go ahead and get to the quilt. I sewed all morning. I was making masks all morning and shipped them off. I shipped some off to Joy. So Joy, yours are on the way. I shipped some off to Pam, and then I shipped some off to somebody in Canada as well. So, and breaking out the sewing machine, I thought about that as like, well, what if I quilted for a bit? And it's like, doesn't do it for me. Not anymore. After all the years of sewing, I was, sewing like 8 hours a day when I was heavily into the quilt stuff. And I'm like going, no, I'm kind of done with that. And I think my problem with paper is right now is I've reached a point to where I have so many ideas of things but I don't have the products for it. And it's like, and every avenue I've tried in terms of doing products, the door is been slammed in my face. So it's like, and I don't have the resources to do it on my own, nor the inclination to do it on my own. So I'm at a real crossroads that I just, other than my digital papers. So, but there's so many people who don't want digital. They want the actual printed paper. So then I run into the same quandary, but anyway, I don't want to be a downer. Everybody is already, there's enough dark and down stuff in the world right now. So we're just going to keep on moving along. So anyway, I am going to go ahead and switch cameras, and we'll go ahead and get started on the box/base for our fairy house. Alright, so switch cameras, so hopefully sound is okay still. Yeah, more and more places. Vickles. I'm not touching no more dollhouses ever again. I've done dollhouses. We've done 3 of them. Every single one of them has been a blow up in my face kind of project, so we're not going there. So, anyway, alrighty. So, I did realize something. Looking around my studio, and this is very dusty, but we did this. It's hard to get under my camera that I've got right now. We also did this project at one point as a Halloween project, and I did it on a 12 by 12 base so that it had, but that was the full size all the way. Oops, my moon fell over. But I don't know if any of you remember this one when we did it also for Halloween. So I thought I'd bust that out and see how it's got some moss on it, that sort of thing. So that was funny, seeing that sitting there, and I went, oh, that's right, that was also done with that pattern. So sometimes it's fun to revisit. And that's the other thing I thought about doing is revisiting another album. So let me read here. Yeah, there's a 5.5 zillion different mask patterns out there. The one thing, if you are making your own mask, I do highly, 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 highly recommend you go to the CDC guidelines for what their suggestions are, and not just go willy-nilly making them out of anything and everything. They do have some very specific guidelines in regards to the fabrics and what else you can use on your mask, and not just make assumptions. So I do highly recommend that you do go look at those guidelines. So yeah, elastic's hard to find. Fortunately, I had elastic. I had Pellon interfacing, which is what I put in mine, and I have the high quality, high dense weave quilt fabrics. So, and that's what I've been using. I don't have any of the masks up here. I have downstairs. I have mine, and I just shipped out the ones that I made this morning. I ran to the post office before class. I'm making the ones that it's the rectangles with the pleats on the side, and I have elastic ear bands on them. If I were making them to go to a hospital or doctor's office or something, I would do them with the cords, or not cords, bias strips, so they tie on, because I know the ear things, when you're wearing them for a 16-hour shift, I hear your ears get pretty irritated. But when I'm only wearing them for half an hour while I'm in the grocery store, the ear things are great, because then they're easy to get off. But I'm just doing the ones that are the square ones with the pleats on the side. They have some shape ones. I might try one of those this weekend. But I'm just making the rectangles that with the pleats. So anyway. Oh, yeah, I had to drop a prescription off to my mom yesterday, and that's so hard. I was able to at least wave to her. She was down in the lobby to get the stuff, but I can't go in. Nobody can go in, and they meet you at the door. So I at least got to wave to her, but that's killing me. It honestly is killing me. But it's positively the safest place for her to be, so we just deal. I have not put the tie twist in the nose bridge, so or the metal or wire or anything in the nose bridge. I haven't done that on mine, especially the ones I'm giving away because I'm concerned that people are going to put them in the microwave and the metal could screw things up big time. So, and I've not had any problems with them. They fit pretty snug on my face, and I wear glasses, so um, they've worked out pretty well. So, alrighty, yep, life is different, and it's going to stay different, and but we'll get through it, and we're here to support each other, and that's the best part about it. Okay, so for your box, I am making mine 8.5 by 11. If you so choose, you can make it larger if you want. But with an 8.5 by 11, when you put the house, our split house, because we're only, and we'll do it against the back, it actually gives you quite a bit of yard area. But I know some people said when I showed this the other day, they wanted more yard area, so they were going to make theirs bigger. And that's totally your choice to do so. I'm going to just make mine 8.5 by 11. Yeah, Pam, you got the exact kind that's what the ones I've been making, and they don't seem to um, be fogging my glasses up. Somebody also, I read somewhere that if you wash your glasses with shaving cream, they don't fog up. And I was like going, I'll have to try it. I don't know why that would work, but I started wearing glasses when I was 9 years old, and I grew up in Alaska. So, half of my life, or a good chunk of my life, I had fogged up glasses. In the wintertime, you'd go from the cold outside to the hot inside and instantly fog up. So it's not really that unusual to be have fogged up glasses. But I want to try the shaving cream. Considering I have a son and a husband who both wear beards, I might have to search around for some shaving cream. So, anyway, what I had talked about in the past when I was showing this is I originally had said I was going to make this little stream, and I had shown you how I had cut this out because I was going to have a little stream going across my yard. And I since decided I think I want to do a pond rather than a stream. So, but you could do either one. And what we're going to do is we're going to have it step down to give it a little bit of depth. But I think I want to do the stream or the pond instead. So, and this is just real easy. You can just draw any kind of shape you want. So I'm just going to draw a shape like that. Now I want to put my house on there and make sure that my house isn't going to be hanging over into the pond. And that's looking good because then I can have a little path. I have room and stuff because we're going to also be doing some mushrooms if they come out the way I'm hoping. I haven't had a chance really to work on them much lately. So with this, then you can go ahead and cut that out. Now, it's a little more challenging to do because it's all inside, so it's harder. You can't cut with scissors. But if you, at least with a craft knife, can cut enough of an opening, because then you can get in with your scissors, it's a little easier to do. So I'm going to show what I mean by that is I'm just going to cut, because I know some of you have a love-hate relationship, mainly hate with your craft knife. So I'm just going to, and make 2 or 3 passes if you need to. You don't have to cut it all in the first pass. So then Now hang on to this piece because we're going to use that thing as a template, but I want to be able to get in there with my scissors because scissors have a little bit more control for most people. I'm going to go from below. So whichever is easiest for you. I personally find it easier for me personally use the craft knife, but I want to show that you don't have to do it with the craft knife. You can do it with scissors. And your marked line is just a guide that you don't have to be dead perfect on that line. All right, so there. And we're going to be kind of doing some stuff over this edge, so it doesn't have to be a perfect edge. But I do want to tape this on here because I want to use this as a template. So I'm just going to use some score tape on it. Excuse me. So we're having very nice weather. It's supposed to get up to like 70 tomorrow, which for Western Washington is really nice weather, and for this time of year. And so everything is blooming. All the trees are leafing out and stuff. So my allergies are not happy. All right, so that gives us our little template there. Now, what I'm using, because it's way easier to cut, is I'm using some the Fun Foam. This is the sheets of foam. It's about the same thickness as a chipboard, but obviously it's flexible. It also has a thicker one as well. I've actually been using this stuff quite a bit. It doesn't add a lot of weight. And it also is really super easy to work with. Way easier than cutting 3 or 4 layers of chipboard, especially in a shape. So what I'm going to do then is I'm taking my template and I want to make sure I make it at least a 1/4 of an inch larger. So I'm just going to kind of roughly eyeball and draw it out 1/4 of an inch larger. If I were doing the stream, do it the exact same way. So that's like, okay, that's how I want to cut it for the outside. But see how this stuff is like cutting through butter compared to chipboard. You could do it with chipboard. If you don't have the Fun Foam, you can do it with chipboard. I debated on this because I'm like going, oh, people are not going to have Fun Foam at home. But you can order it from like any of the big box type stores if you don't have any. All right, so then I actually do want to mark Maybe I'll flip it over on the back side. Flip it over on the back side to mark this so that my pencil line doesn't show. So draw around my template piece. And then I'm going to cut this one inside of that about 1/4 inch. But if I also want to make some areas like here, there's a little ledge. So this is going to look kind of like a topography map. So I can make it, and the closer the lines are, the steeper kind of it is to the edge of the pond. So if I made some areas over here a little wider and here a little bit wider. And so I'm going to cut this out of the center. See how much easier this is to cut than the chipboard. Okay, now save this piece because we're going to not use this for the next layer, but the last layer underneath. So then this is going to go. So see how it's kind of looking like a topographic map? Okay, so we're going to use this one now. I want to make sure it's the right way. So that way, this is top. So now I'm going to use this one and cut about 1/4 inch larger than this one. So I can draw around it. Because this part that we're drawing on the outside of this one, you want it relatively evenly 1/4 inch around, because this is the part that's not going to show that's attaching to the underside. It's when we cut out the center that you can kind of play with your topo lines, so to speak. But see how easy this stuff is to work with, and it's lightweight, so it doesn't add a ton of weight. And it's about the same thickness as the chipboard. So. So now this is going to attach underneath, and so it overlaps. So you can see there. Oops. Get it lapping on there perfectly. There we go. Flip it over. So now I can mark kind of where that is going to line up lightly. It's not going to show. We're going to also cover over it with some goop. So now that gives me an idea where this piece is. So now I can draw inside of it. Maybe leave it lined up on there so I can see how I want to make some areas maybe steeper and other areas not so much. So then I can cut this part out of the middle. You can paint fun foam, yes. Paints perfectly. The only thing is if you want to use any heat on it, you have to be really super careful. Because the heat will make it kind of warp a little bit. So it reacts well to most things. It just doesn't like heat a whole lot. All right, so there's that one. Well, this guy can go underneath this one because we know it fits right inside already because it was the layer just above. So now I can go, oh, okay. I'm going to cut this one. So that goes onto that one. This one I've cut or marked. Go ahead and cut on my line. Now this one I can toss. Let's see, and then this guy will go underneath to form the bottom. So it gives our little pool, or if you decide you want to do a stream, do it the exact same way, but it gives us some depth. So it goes down, and so it's got a little bit of depth, and we'll also throw some acetate over one level so that you get that feeling of it being the little stream, and eventually we'll be painting it, all that kind of good stuff. So, but we can layer these layers and glue them down now. And I just use my regular glue and I've had no problems. So I'm just going to glue right around the edge. So that one's there. This one goes on the bottom of this one. Just be making sure that I've got the right layers for the right places I do. Okay, so. And this one sits on top. You can do it out of the crazy bright colors. I have some bright yellow and some bright red and green and stuff. So even if all you've got is the bright crazy colors, you can use that because we're going to paint it and it paints up perfectly. And then our last one is this guy. No, it's just, Alexa, no, I just wanted everybody to realize that you can use those weird bright colors because sometimes that's all you can find. So then that's going to then attach on the underneath side here. So then you can see it's kind of like a map, a topo map for the pond. But what we're going to also have in there is I'm going to take our acetate. You recall we had our acetate from our windows, and I'm actually going to have the acetate, but I need to do some stuff to this pond before I do this. So I can put the acetate. So then it's like it has, you can't see it on camera, but it does give it to where it's like the surface of the water. So So it makes, and then we're going to have, we'll use some little moss and we'll make some leaves and guga and stuff around it. And we'll have some stuff coming up on the edge of the pond. And we may have a fish in our pond. We'll have to see how that all goes. After we kind of turn it into sandy or stony and maybe add some color to it to make it look more blue. I had almost did this with white or black, but then I found the brown. But you can do it. I actually bought blue to do it with. But I decided to just do it in the brown. It's a fairy pond. But it could be a fish pond. Maybe the fairies go fish in the fish pond. Or in the fairy pond. Are there fairy fish? The fairies can swim in the pond. There you go. And there's all sorts of possibilities. So anyway, we can let that dry while we then prep for our box, other parts of the box. Grab some construction strips. Okay, so this is our box top. And so then we're going to make a lip around it that's 1 inch deep on each side, and then the box will fit underneath. So I am going to cut some 1 inch wide strips. So I need 2 that are 11 inches and 2 that are 8.5 inches. Let's see how it looks. Just trying to see how. It's about 1/4 inch. So if I do 2 strips here, then I can cut my sides for underneath 3/4, because I want my box to be 3 inches deep. But if this adds 1/4 inch, so if I make my sides 3 1/4, then I have enough depth for my album that fits inside. So these will give me my 11 inch side. So then I'm going to do another sheet where I do 1 inch, 1 inch, and then I need to do 2 at 3 1/4. Alright, so let's set that down for the moment. So I do the starter cut with my cutter, and that cuts about halfway through. So then and it gives you a nice straight cut. So then I finish it with my craft knife. Now these guys, I'm not going to cut them apart yet because I need to make this slightly smaller. I'm going to make it 1/4 inch smaller so that my lid fits down over the top. So before I cut these apart, I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off of the width. So the box base is actually 8 1/4 by 11 or 10 3/4. So cut these 2 off here. My 1 inch ones stay the full 8.5 by 11. So the 1 inch strips, because they're for the lid, stay that, whereas the box underneath the sides are 1/4 inch shorter. and that just allows the box to fit down over. So box sides 2 are 10 3/4 by 3 1/4, and then there's 2 that are 8 1/4 by the 3 1/4 high, and that will give me a clear inside 3 inches in height for my album to sit in. All right, so these are going to attach onto the piece with the pond, so they stay the full size. And then I'm going to cut a base, which I'm going to cut 1/4 inch shorter and narrower. So these 4 go with this. And this one gets cut 1/4 inch smaller in each direction. Oops. Oh, I got scrolled down and I'm going, where did my chat go? All right, so here's my base, which is 8 1/4 by 10 3/4, and these pieces will go with the base. So we can start with this one, and then we can do the lid either way. They're assembled like we've been doing boxes for a bunch of years, is we're just going to attach the sides, construction strips on the inside. Okay, then we need the height of the side. Those are too short. So I'll need 4 of these side pieces. Of course, you can only fit 3 in a strip. But I'll save those because those will work for the top one. Oh, wait. Brain. Come back. And construction strips are 3/4 inch strips that are scored down the middle. And then you're going to add score tape or another very strong adhesive type tape on each side of the fold. And you want it closer to the fold versus the edge. And then we will be attaching this again on the inside. And so the fold is right over the seam because they're butting in, and then it'll fold up. Keeps it nice and clean on the outside. then do it down the other side. Now I also angle the corners slightly so that they don't interfere at the corner. So I run that to where my fold is right next to the edge. Well, Alexa, I'm glad you are doing, Alexa, I'm glad you, I know better than that. My brain is just not working. I'm just glad you're doing better. I was concerned about you myself. I'm going to put these on the corners. I'll attach these little shorter strips to the corners. And attach the corners. And you're just butting those corners up to each other so they look like that. So then it's plenty big enough for an album to fit inside there. So let me go ahead and put this together. Now I need to make sure, okay, this is my top because it's down in this lower right hand corner. So I want to flip this over. That's why I don't have one of the creepy Amazon Alexa things, because I don't want it suddenly to go off like that. Especially if your name's Alexa. I don't know. That's just a little too. I don't know. My husband bought one for me, one of the little hockey puck looking ones years ago, and I was like, yeah, no, thank you, sweetheart, but I don't want it listening to me. It's bad enough that my phone listens to me. That creeps me out enough. Is you mention something and the next thing you know, you get ads for that, like on Facebook and stuff. I'm like going, Big Brother's listening. Okay, so then I can use these for the corners. Hey, let's see how many things I can bowl over and knock down. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit shorter class here tonight. Is we're going to get this all assembled. And then I'm going to do all the Guga and stuff on the pond on Tuesday's class. We'll do both a Tuesday and a Friday class next week. And we'll be pretty much done with this by then. So over the weekend I'm going to work on my mushrooms. So I can show you how I make those. I might just do those via a video rather than on the live show. That way I can stay focused on that. We shall see. We'll see how things go. It's like I don't like Siri on my phone either. Every once in a while I hit it wrong and it's like, how can I help you? And I'm like, go away? About the only time I ever use Siri is when I want the score on some sporting event and I don't want to sit and type it in. That's about the only time I think I've ever used Siri. Alright, so get all the sides of this lid put together. And we can do the little thingy doodles at the corner. With my new table set up in my studio here, I'm doing a different way of having my camera. And I can't get it quite as high, so I think I might have to go back to my old tripod. Because I just feel like this camera is just too tight down onto my desk for 3D projects. It's fine if we were doing albums because it gets you a little closer. But when I do 3D projects, I think I need to use my other tripod rather than the swing arm thing. Oh, one other thing too, while I'm thinking about it, I am working on the older videos the newer videos are stored on YouTube, even if they're not accessible from my YouTube channel and only accessible from my website. Those are all still available. So anything that we've done since I started doing YouTube lives, you still have access to. It's some of the old Ustream ones, and where I had them stored on WordPress, we're having a challenge with in that something has gone haywire. We're trying to figure it out. The problem is it takes about 3 days for WordPress to get back to me right now, because they're obviously working from home as well. And so it took 3 days for them to get back to me to ask questions. So then I've sent the answers. So I'm probably not going to get more information till next week. So if you are getting an error message when you try to look at some of the older videos, that's why. And I am working on it as best and as quickly as I can. So, all right. So that gives us our box. This is going to give us 3 1/4 inch depth, but 1/4 of an inch of that is taken up with our little pond. So we have 3 inches of depth for our album. And by making the lid larger, that gives you some room also when you cover your sides. I'm probably going to use some of the wood grain papers in the collection to do that. And I will do the sides, and I will do the sides here and wrap to the top. What I end up doing on the top is still to be determined, but then also, and this is where it's hard when I put this on here on camera, so is the height of it. So that's going to sit on there. There's my little pond. We're going to have a bunch of now I'm going to be using a mixture of both die cut type plants and also just some silk plant type things. Silk slash, and that's a generic term for foliage that you purchase, for instance, at big box store type things. So it's just quick and easy way, especially for sticks and tree type things, that sort of thing. So I'm going to be using a combination of the two. But so we'll that gives us our box. I'm not ready to attach this on just yet, but as I said, I will be covering the sides of the box, the sides of the lid, and wrapping 1/2 inch onto the top. And then I'll determine what I'm going to be putting on the top after I get the house attached on. And it may be that it just gets painted. It has some medium in it, something. While I've determined just what I want to do on that. Also then, because you're opening the box to get your album out, if you want to cover your insides of your box as well, you can do that. And especially if you're using the digital papers, you just print the papers out and do print the papers out and cover the inside. And that's one of the big beauties of doing digital papers, is you can print out as many as you need or choose. So, but see then this underneath the little pond. So this is going to go, and we're going to take some some medium type stuff, the gel medium stuff, and add some sand into it, and so we can kind of give this less of the topography texture and more of like it's a sandy little pond. So, and then if we decide to, we can add a little fish inside of there before we attach it to the underneath side with the acetate as well. And then we can also add some stuff onto the acetate to make it look more like water. Maybe make some excuse me, grass and moss around the edges of it. So it's going to make for a fun little stream. So does anybody have any questions at this point as to where we are? And like I said, we're going to finish up a little early today. I'm just this doing not necessarily doing nothing, because I'm doing plenty. It's the times right now. Kind of wears on all of us, having everybody home, and I swear my family acts like a tag team. One comes in, they leave. I just get focused again. The next one comes in, they leave. I get focused, and the next one comes in. So, it just, we're all adjusting. We're all adjusting. So I know I'm cutting this short by quite a bit today. So So any thoughts that anybody had? Let me go ahead and switch cameras so you don't have to sit there and stare at my box. Is any thoughts of anybody had on terms of projects that we can work on after this one? I think I still want to do. I think I still want to do at least one live show a week, because I like having that interactivity, because these are very interactive in terms of the chat and stuff, and then doing regular YouTube videos are not interactive at all, and so Facebook Live kind of falls in the middle. But because I don't know how many people really want to watch the 2-hour-long live shows, by doing the Facebook Lives, which are shorter, more demo-y type stuff, doing like the tags and stuff like we've done in the past, maybe something like that with the Facebook Live. So maybe it's one day of Facebook Live, one day of the live show, and we can work on a project during the live show. I'm thinking on this one, the album, I'm probably going to do via YouTube video, but maybe we do the album for this one and we decorate it all during the class. I'm just, I've never been this indecisive in my life. So this is really, and I think that's why I'm struggling so much, because I generally make decisions and move that direction, and that's just the way it is. But I'm really struggling with this, trying to figure out exactly what it is that I want to do. So the Facebook Live would be on my public business page. I wouldn't do it on Paper Doodles because that's private then. And I don't put any business stuff on my personal Facebook. So if those of you who follow me on Facebook, my regular page, you will notice I don't post anything about scrapbooking because that's my personal page. But I do have my Laura Dennison Designs business page, and that's the one I would do it on, and that one is public. So yes, it would be public. And I would also download the videos off of there, or I would record them off of there. I would record them separately to put up on, I have an old phone, so I can do it off of that, so that I can then put them up on YouTube as well. So they'd stay on Facebook, but then I'll put them also up on YouTube, so you have access to them at a later time. But I look at my metrics and stuff from these YouTube videos and stuff, and people don't want to sit and watch videos that are this long. They would rather do the short ones, kind of like the 12 Projects of Christmas, which turned out to be 11. So kind of like those kind of things, and so those are shorter. So people tend to prefer that kind of thing on YouTube, I think. So I don't know. I'm still kind of just muddling through on my brain. So, and I would have those scheduled, Alexa, on my website, like I have a schedule for these classes. I would put either YouTube Live or Facebook Live, because a Facebook Live would be more demo-y type of short, half an hour, 45 minutes tops, but short demo type things. So I just, I know a lot of people hate Facebook. I'm one of them. So it's just a thought that I've had as a possible idea. I could also do just short YouTube Live ones as well. But I thought, we can try it. But you can also turn on notifications so you get notified when they start. But I would have it on my schedule, so you'd be able to see it on the calendar schedule on my website as to when is what and where and all that kind of good stuff. So I could do, like Joyce says, do a short trial run. And that's a possibility. I can move my camera out of the way now. We're not using it. So it's not right in my face. So I'm just having a really hard time making decisions right now. It's terrible. I've never been this way. So, alrighty. So, not many of you are talking except my, all of my, mods and Alexa, which I love. It's funny. It's just, I'm not getting much in the way of feedback from people, which this is what I run into, is people just really, I don't get much feedback, and so I struggle. I keep struggling. So, yeah, it is an unsettling time right now. And, I try to be like everybody else and just like, yeah, I'm just going to put on a happy face and go do this. But as those of you who've been around me for a long time know, my heart is on my sleeve. My emotions always show. So, and I'm not afraid to admit that I'm struggling. I think a lot of us are. So, but, anyway. Alrighty, guys. Well, I don't have anything to show you specifically. I'm also trying to work on some of the past projects. I thought about doing revisiting an older album or something and doing that in a YouTube series where it's just straight to YouTube. Thought about the original Photofolio. That would be a fun one to do. I also have that one finished. I don't know. We'll have to see. I know the live shows work really well for the 3D projects. So, I don't know. So feel free to email me with suggestions of things that you would like to revisit. I mean, don't talk about stuff that I still owe because that are still not finished, because I'm working on all of that stuff and those will be, so please do not email me asking me why don't you just do such and such, because I am working on trying to get some of those completed. That's a lot of what I've been working on, is finishing up some of the ones that are close to being done, not quite, that sort of thing. So we're heading that direction. So, but I want to potentially revisit some older projects. So if anybody has any things that they would like to do, let me know. Otherwise, we'll. Yep, Annie, that is exactly it right now. So I'm just trying to provide some sort of creative outlet for people, but it's hard when my personal creative juices are like going, yeah, no. So we'll get there. We're all adjusting, and we'll get there to our new normal. It's the unknown of what the new normal is going to be, I think, is also what's difficult. So alrighty, guys. Well, I'm going to let you all go and enjoy the rest of your Good Friday. Good Friday is always a time of reflection, and come Easter on Sunday, it's a time of renewal and rebirth. So hopefully we all get that sense of renewal, even if you are separated from family and friends during a holiday, which is going to be hard for a lot of people. Fortunately, both of my kids are here at home. Fortunately or unfortunately in some cases. But so the only one we will be missing will be my mom this year. So, but she's safe, and I know that, and it makes it a little bit easier knowing that she's safe. I'm just thankful that my mother-in-law passed before all of this started. I keep saying she just wanted to get up to heaven before the crowds arrived. And I know that sounds really bad. But as I said to somebody on Facebook this morning, sometimes levity is how some of us let off the pressure cooker. So I don't mean offense to anybody, but I know my mother-in-law, she already had, there was enough fanfare going up on heaven because she died the same day as Kobe Bryant and his daughter. So her thunder got stolen a little bit that day. But I'm just thankful because she would, she was not communicative at the end. So she would not have understood why we weren't coming to visit her. And it would have been just a massive amount of worry on top of worrying about my own mom. So if she had to go, I'm glad it was before all of this started. And we were able to get her funeral done and all of that before we did that in the middle of February. So before all of this hit. And I'm just thankful that happened. So, but anyway, I am going to let you guys all go. Everybody have the best weekend you can. And I think that's kind of the way we need to approach things. Is let's just make the best, do the best that we can. And it was funny as since all of the places, drive-through places and stuff are still open here for, food and stuff. So I went to Panda because I was wanting Chinese food. And so I have my little fortune cookie and it says, be gentle to yourself. You're doing the best that you can. I sometimes wonder, were these done before all this hit or was this one that came? But I think that's something we all need to live by. So just be gentle to yourself. And to your loved one. That's the best, I think, thing that we can do for each other on this holiday weekend. So everybody have the best Easter that you can. I think we all have so much, not all of us, but we do have to be thankful for what we do have. And for those of you who are touched directly by this, my heart breaks for you. And I hope everything for everyone comes out okay, in the end. And if it doesn't, my heart breaks for you doubly. So anyway, everybody have an amazing weekend, and we will be back on Tuesday at 3:30 because we're going to continue on with our regular schedule for next week. And by then, I hopefully will kind of have it figured out exactly what I'm going to be doing from there. So everybody, peace out. I love you guys all so much. Thank you so much for joining me here in my studio, and also thank you to Joy and to Lois for monitoring for me. It's always special to see you guys here. So peace out. Love you bunches. Bye.